What's happening, boys? How's it going?
All right. What's going on, you guys? Long time no see.
Good to see you.
You know what? We've had so much technical difficulties. We've recorded 2, maybe 3 pods in the last few weeks here, and we just couldn't get them online. I guess at this point we're just not meant to be. So let's pretend that didn't happen. And
there hasn't really been much to talk about, and now I see people talking about the same thing, which we're going to probably get into in a little bit.
Well, there hasn't been, but we had lined up these questions and we had all these things going, and then now a lot of it, we're going through the list this afternoon, or Brendan and I, thanks for sending that over, because I actually lost the list. and some of this stuff is just not relevant anymore, right? Like Aleem doesn't seem like he's getting a PTO. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, we've got this stuff prepared, but I think, the start of this, we were talking off the cuff about being too emotionally invested. I don't know if you guys want to share a little bit more of that on the air. Last few days, I've really been contemplating that, especially since I saw the opening day line 1 lineup. So I'm still not clear if that was exhibition or if that was supposed to be the plan for the regular season. To me, it sounded like it was going to be the regular season, right?
Yeah, well, we saw some stories the other day with McDavid starting on Draisaitl's line, with Trent Frederic riding in the shotgun position, and then everything after that was a little bit suspect as far as the old forward depth chart. It really shows how valuable Zach Hyman is to that team as a healthy body, as a driver of the offense. There's just that glaring gap in the depth chart. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins obviously fine. Podkolzin, question mark, could be a big year for him, could be an average year for him, we don't know, but there's a lot of question marks that are existing in that bottom 9 of the Oilers forward group right now. The defense is probably okay, and the goaltending, we've been talking about that all summer, it's still a question mark. It's probably average, suitable for the regular season, but certainly lots of questions ahead for Oilers fans as things ramp up through the preseason and into the regular season here.
Yeah, well summarized. Ahmed, what do you got to say?
No, just like Brendan, I've been watching people lose their minds because the coach has penciled in Draisaitl next to McDavid, and I, for the life of me, don't understand why people are so invested in that. Those two guys dominate the league when they're playing together. That's like the most lethal.
They don't, though.
They do. They do.
They don't.
They're both doing really well when they're playing together. How could you tell me they're not?
Pull up the stats, man. They don't. They do not. This is the problem. For the last 3 seasons, they have not.
So when you say that, pull up the stats, what stats are you going to compare the two? McDavid playing with who? Playing with Janmark? Playing with, now that Hyman's out, who is he playing with? The stats are phenomenal. He doesn't have anybody regularly on his line. And I went on to tell you, I think the reason why he's not signing right now is because I think he's tired of that crap. He had Corey Perry in his line who couldn't keep up with him, who would be in the offensive zone and would take Corey Perry like another 30 seconds to get there, to get to the front of the net. This guy's tired of the revolving doors around him. He wants a player next to him. That's why he's not signing. That's my 2 cents.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but the only one that matters is mine. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I hear what you're saying. The thing that I just can't get over is, the regular season is supposed to be used to develop and to get into stride for the playoffs. The last numerous years, we've had the same problem. When push came to shove, we didn't really have anybody being able to step up. We brought in stars from other teams, people that have performed in other teams, and then they get pigeonholed into this one, role, and then confidence wavers, and then they're in the same role. So it doesn't matter if we have a Vasily Podkolzin, or if we have a Victor Arvidsson, or if we have a Jeff Skinner, or if we have a, Matthias Janmark. Obviously, that's not a fair comparison, but you get what I'm saying, right? So the regular season should be developed for chemistry. If you look at the San Jose Sharks back in the day when they were a decent team, they would have Pavelski with Couture and like Thornton and Marleau together or something like that. You'd have consistent pairs, right? We've got these young guys coming up. We've got Savoy. We've got Howard. Why are they not being put on lines with McDavid and Draisaitl?
You're making my point. By putting Draisaitl up with McDavid, you've now opened up the bottom 9 to players that are brand new. How many top 6 players did we lose? We lost Arvidsson. We lost Perry. we've lost a number of guys who are not there anymore, and you've got these positions
hey,
open. How are they going to play if you've got your top six already set up with Draisaitl, McDavid, and whoever their partners were the last season? You're not giving these young guys a chance.
That's not what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is, like, if you look at the LA Kings from last year, even, he said Quentin Byfield took a couple of huge strides in his game, confidence-wise, offensively, defensively as well. And what happened? He was stapled on a line with Anze Kopitar for 50 games, right? If you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, they do the exact same thing, right? That's how you develop players, is you give them an opportunity and you let them grow into that opportunity. You don't just boom, hit the switch and say, screw it, guys, you guys ride the pine. McDavid and Draisaitl are going to drive the offense 25 minutes a game from day one.
Yeah, they're two of the top players in the entire National Hockey League.
Well, how did that work?
They're 1 and 2. How are they not going to get their minutes?
5 of the Stanley Cup Finals when it really mattered.
No, it doesn't matter. They've gone to the finals 2 years in a row. And the thing is,
because
they're two of the top players in the league, and the bottom guys are all sleeping. They're not performing. It's not a two-man team. It's a team of everybody contributing. It's well documented that, obviously, I mean, you're the guy who's biggest, loudest guy when it comes to the goaltending and the goalies letting in bad things. Sure, they didn't perform as much as they could, but this is not solely on McDavid and Draisaitl's shoulders. There are other players that flat out didn't perform. They went missing in action.
Are we going to go down memory lane again? And I mean,
I don't want to.
You're thinking why the last 2 podcasts failed, because it couldn't handle the rage. Let's talk about the first 2 goals in Game 6. Who are the culprits on that? Give me a fucking break. Sorry.
No. You like you said, you wanted emotionally detached, and now I can see you're still hurting from last year's loss. Get past it, man. It's over. But I'm telling you,
have we learned from our mistakes?
Listen, what they have right now, the 2 players on the top line, Draisaitl's not going to be McDavid's wing all season. So why are you losing your mind is beyond me. Maybe they'll play 1 preseason game so they can allow the rest of the team to show up on lines 2, 3, and 4 and see how those players are playing. They know what Draisaitl brings. They know what McDavid brings. They don't know what the rest of these young guys are going to bring. Why are you losing your mind over 1 preseason?
I'm not losing my mind. What I'm saying is, if this is our Game 1 lineup, they haven't learned anything.
No, coach never said this is a Game 1 lineup. He said this could change at any minute. Those are his words. So who knows what the plan is? Like I said before offline, this could be McDavid saying, I need a consistent winger. If Hyman's out, I don't want the fourth liners taking shifts on my line.
All I'm saying is, if this is what it appears to be, and we talked a bunch about this offline as well. I don't want to go into a McDavid tirade. I don't really want to go into any of that stuff. But bottom line is this smells a lot like it smelled over the last 5 years. And if that's the case, we haven't learned anything, and it's going to be very difficult for us to, for me anyways, to envision us taking a step forward. And hence why I'm saying, just need to take a few steps back and just take it for what it is. Maybe everybody out there is right. Maybe we are a 2-man show, and maybe it's because these guys don't want to do what it takes to win.
I agree with that. It's a 2-man show because the rest of the team just kind of defers to them. And you know this. We've had this conversation.
No, I don't know this because we haven't had.
We had this conversation last year. You said everybody else is kind of riding their coattails. It's McDavid and Draisaitl. They're the guys who are running it. And if they don't score, nobody else seems to care. I mean,
Brendan, you got to jump in here, man.
So for those of you watching who don't know me, for those of you who are watching who don't know me, I spent years in the sports business as a professional, not as a professional athlete, but as a member of the media. And then I spent some time in finances, which is where I met Aleem. He asked me to come in and sometimes talk hockey and share my thoughts. So I've seen a lot of hockey games. I've broadcast a lot of hockey games. I learned about the personalities behind the teams. We haven't talked about the most important free agent on the Oilers. It's not Connor McDavid. It's not the goalies. It's not the defensemen. We've got a coach who doesn't have a contract right now, right? He got 2 trips to the finals under his belt in 2 years as an NHL coach, and he doesn't have an extension. So his entire career is depending on the players that are on his bench, how he sends them out, and how he utilizes them. He knows that they have some weaknesses in the forward group. They have some question marks in net. And they have Hyman, who's maybe not coming back onto the ice until November, December, who knows when. You got to win games early in the season. So if he wants to put himself in a position to win, put the team in the position to win, it's almost going to be like playoff hocky right from day one. Not ideal.
I agree.
you should have a much stronger group if you want to win the Stanley Cup. But I don't think the mission at this point is to win the Stanley Cup. It has to be the big goal for the team based on where they've been the last couple of years. But they're kind of putting out some fires right away just to get through the first 8 weeks of the season. And remember, the season's really messed up with the whole Olympic break happening, and there's going to be some players on the Oilers roster who are going to be in those Olympic hockey games. They just have to make sure that they play a lot of good hockey in the first couple months of the year. They're going to be a little bit shorthanded during that time. And I'm not surprised at all to see the coach saying we're coming out of the gates with our best look, and we're going to try to put those points up on the board in October instead of trying to figure out if Ike Howard's a good fit on McDavid's wing, or trying to figure out if Savoie is a good fit with Nugent Hopkins or with Draisaitl. They're going to go
he's fighting for his job, basically, at this point.
That's it. And not only fighting for his job, he's fighting for a huge payday. Right? If he can keep McDavid happy, if he can get this team back to another final, he might be one of the highest paid coaches in the league.
But do you think, Brendan, this is fault on the management for not giving him an extension? He's gone to the finals, like you said, 2 years in a row. Seems like McDavid likes the guy. At this point, don't give him a long-term, maybe give him a 2-year contract extension or even a year extension to kind of get that out of the way. How are you allowing, and I know just like yourself, I'm sure that Sam Bowman and upper management know that there's a good chance the coach is going to be doing things he shouldn't normally be doing. What he's going to do is fight for himself and his job. Maybe he's going to wear down Draisaitl and McDavid, running him 23, 24 minutes a night again to get the results he wants. And then comes playoffs, they run out of steam by the time it's the 4th round.
It's completely realistic. And I think that I don't know why management has not put that signature on paper yet. Maybe he's asking for a lot. Maybe they haven't even talked about an extension. I don't know. I'm not in the room. I don't have any sources. I don't know. But it's surprising. I think it's surprising when someone shows that kind of results on a 3-year deal in the first 2 years that you haven't automatically locked up that coach and said, this is our guy.
Yeah.
So, and then the strange nexus is obviously Knobloch and McDavid are very closely tied, right? So when you have a UFA and Knobloch without that extension, and you have McDavid now without that extension, now, you got that big panic button staring you in the face. Like, what's happening with this team that, they don't have certainty, beyond the next 84 games, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's probably pretty challenging for a season like that.
I'm wondering if the management's thinking, like, 2 years in a row in the finals, I wonder if they were putting the blame on the coach being out-coached at the year end. Because, at times it did look like he's being out-coached by the other coach, right?
Pete DeBoer looked like he was getting out-coached, right? So did he get out-coached by Paul Maurice at the other end? Maybe. Paul Maurice has been in this game for 40 years as an NHL head coach, right? Or it seems like it anyway. He's brought at least a couple of decades behind an NHL bench. So, and he had opportunities to get to the final before he won. So he's been there. He took those lessons. He put them to heart. And, he's putting his players through his system, his way. And I would say that Knobloch probably did get out-coached in those 2 finals. But he got out-coached by someone who's a pretty damn good NHL coach with a lot of experience. But does that mean that you don't extend him because he got out-coached by the one guy that might out-coach him? Like, that doesn't make any sense either, right? He's proven himself to be a really, really good NHL head coach from day one with all of that pressure. And granted, with a lot of assets to work with, but sometimes that can make it harder to manage when you have a bunch of assets. And he made it work for 160-some games now in the regular season, plus all those playoff games. More often than not, he's got the results that they're looking for. So.
I want Aleem to chime in here for a sec, but there's a thought on what you're saying, Brendan, was in the first time they went up against the Florida Panthers, and Florida was up, 3-1 or whatever it was. And I remember the interview with Knobloch, him saying, we'll see you in 10 days. And there was not even like a flinch of there was no doubt. He's like, we're down 3-1. We'll see you in 10 days. And we did see them in 10 days, which was game 7. But right there, I knew this guy believes in his team and his team believes in him to that degree. They should have just extended him at that point. I don't know why they're still waiting, but you're absolutely right. It is kind of alarming a little bit that he's not signed and McDavid's not signed. I wonder if McDavid's, we're speculating if it has anything to do with that. Who knows?
Yeah, it's the whole speculation game. Aleem, why don't you share your thoughts? You think it's a package deal with those 2 guys, or do you think that they're each operating under their own preferences?
I don't know anymore, to be honest. You brought up a good point about Knobloch, and those are some things that we, from a fan perspective, sort of forget about, is the economics and the Like, these guys are human beings. They are people. Knobloch's got a family that he's got to look after. He's looking for job security, and he has an opportunity to secure a few $1,000,000 on a term, right? Those are things, again, like I said, we're not looking at when we're dissecting the whole thing. As far as, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with Stan Bowman wanting to put a stamp on this team. That's one, right or wrong, and this is, Ahmed, we were talking about this offline a couple of weeks back. We were talking about, like, the organization and turnover and how that can lead to bad asset management. Just because this isn't Bowman's guy, maybe Bowman's not loyal to him and he's got this wait and see approach, and that seems to be acceptable. And then in turn, there's no continuity in the staff and in the organization, right? Because every new guy wants to bring in their new guy, and then there's a whole shift in philosophy. When you are maybe a degree or two off, a guy or two off, you bring a new guy in and he's got a complete shift in philosophies, right? And sometimes that can backfire. So, I mean, whether or not they're a package deal, I mean, I would like to think that they don't do that. But again, the human aspect of it and, what's going on behind the scenes, like, I would like to think that McDavid, we can take him at his word that all he does care about is winning. And, I'm hoping he's leaving these decisions to the coach, but it just seems kind of really strange to me. Especially when that was sort of what the general manager was saying and what they were talking about in their exit meetings and also throughout the off season. It wasn't like they were not talking about finding and supporting these newcomers and giving them every opportunity to play in positions where they feel comfortable, right? No, I get it. I totally understand that a guy like Ike Howard, when he's playing with Connor McDavid, is also going to be playing against the top guys in the NHL, defensively trying to stop you. So I understand that. Maybe if you're playing a little bit at the bottom end of the lineup, you're maybe facing lesser competition, although that's really relative, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm with you guys. It doesn't make sense. I feel like you got to reward the guy for what he's already done, what he's already accomplished, right?
Okay, so let's talk about the coach, how he's going to use those assets. We have 3 players we know are going to be on the top line probably in that first game. So we have Trent Frederic, big contract, point to prove with McDavid and Draisaitl. Going down further in the depth chart, who do you think plays more NHL games for the Edmonton Oilers this year? Do you think it's going to be Noah Phillip? Do you think it's going to be Howard? Do you think it's going to be Savoie, Curtis Lazar, Tomasek, and then we got Jones and Hamblin kind of rounding out that crew?
And we're eliminating Costin because he never got that PTO that we were anticipating.
Exactly. So out of the guys we saw playing against Winnipeg and Calgary the other day, we had some good looks from some young players who are going to get some ice time, and it's going to be probably games for all of them, right? Depending on waiver wires and stuff like that, and contract situations. But let's assume that most of those players are going to get some NHL games with this team this year. So
are we making this?
Which one do you think has the highest games played by the end of April?
I'll go first on it if you don't mind. If we're making the assumption that Connor and Leon are going to be playing together for the most part, my money's on Tomasek, I think, just based off of what we've seen from him and the fact that he's played professional hockey for years now, right? And he's not 21, he's 29, right? That'd be my pick.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I think Tomasek is probably the player that's going to play the most games. Although, I mean, did you guys watch the game last night or not? Howard, if he can wind up like Leon Draisaitl and rip it like that, I don't think that he's going to miss a lot of games either if they put him up with McDavid if he can keep up. Although, it's a big jump from where he's coming to the NHL. I know
we already know, at least from the start of the season, he's not going to be playing with McDavid because he's going to be playing. It sounds like he's going to be playing with Nuge on that other line. And didn't the coach say something along the lines of? And I think he meant just in the preseason, this is going to give the other guys opportunities to play, right? And show what they can do, maybe their own creativity. And I do get that. Like Brendan, Ahmed, we've talked about players wanting to defer to those guys. So maybe by taking them out of the equation in preseason anyways, you're getting that opportunity to see what these guys can do.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Curtis Lazar as my guy.
Oh, interesting.
And I think it's because of the way that Knobloch runs his bench. He trusts his veterans more than he trusts the young players. And yeah, you got Tomasek coming in. He's played a lot of professional games, but he hasn't played a sniff in the NHL, right? So you have Curtis Lazar, who is a highly touted prospect. Got to watch him a bit when he was with Edmonton with the Oil Kings, and he's been around for quite a long time. And I think you'll see him in that sort of Marty Reisner role, like just hanging out on the fourth line center. The coach trusts, get out there on some defensive.
Jack of all trades, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do you see him pushing up on the lineup? That's kind of what when I was, my train of thought was like, a guy like Tomasek can play second line center, third line wing, fourth line center, maybe, right? He's going to be all over the ice, so he's going to be. That was my thought, but your pick is Lazar, kind of the same thing. Both guys are right shot guys, and they're both supposed to be pretty decent in the faceoff circle, which is great because that's what we were sorely missing last year. We didn't have a really regular guy on the right side, right?
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think that we're going to see the coach look to have some consistency in terms of winning draws and being able to control off the face-off. And I think we'll see what Tomasek does out there against NHL caliber centermen draws. But I just get this feeling that Lazar has a pretty nice meal ticket here that he can cash in as long as he can play up to the kind of player he's always been in the NHL, and he's surrounded by a good group. He's motivated. He wants to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that we have three, right? We've got Philp, we've got Lazar, and we've got Tomasek, right? So there is, we were just going off on lack of depth, but I feel like we, especially in this particular need, we've definitely added, and you got to give Bowman some credit on that, right?
Well, the team didn't extend any trial contracts, right? So I mean that speaks to your depth, and I think that's what we were talking about, some consistency and having the same players and the young players giving them a shot. I think this is the coach's way of saying, okay, now the opportunity is yours. There's no trial contracts for anybody like Costin or somebody else for that matter. There are some players that are still sitting out there. Maybe this is a vote of confidence for the group that's here and saying, there are so many jobs. Let's see who can grab them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just in the essence of time, and we can talk a lot about this. Let's move on to the next question that we had. Goaltending. We can't talk about the organization without talking about goaltending. How do you guys feel about what you've seen so far from Skinner, his interviews and whatnot? How are you guys feeling?
Well, I still want to see him in a full game situation. I mean, I've watched now, the goalie Tomlins that they picked up from Tampa Bay, and he's looked okay. And Pickard looked solid last night in Winnipeg. He stopped a couple of good opportunities. I think the goalies are what they are. We don't have a true number one, and I think that's a job that's out there right now for Skinner to take. But I haven't seen enough of Skinner play right now. Although every report, I listen to the morning shows and stuff like that, and all these guys and the media that goes in to watch the practice, they're singing praises of how he looks faster and sharper and no pun intended, skinnier. So let's see what happens here.
I hope the summer training involves some of that same beer league hockey that McDavid and Draisaitl were playing in, because I can tell you as a beer league goaltender, you're going to get a lot of experience and practice on high danger breakaways and 2-on-0 things. That's really where Skinner has struggled the most, right? Is the Oilers don't give up a lot of high danger chances, but when they do, it's just the fans can they see their shoulders and their body language just sag, because the chance of that breakaway going in is just so much higher than against the average.
I will pull up the stats which team let in the most breakaways, because I think Edmonton was right up there, man. I mean, every game seems like they're giving up.
We did have those stats, and by far and above those high danger chances, I think we give up more goals at an alarming clip. It's like twice the average, maybe even more.
They give way fewer high danger chances, but the ones they do give up are far deadlier against. That's what the math said.
But the save percentage on those compared to league average is like half or something crazy. It's up there. It's crazy. But with that said, I mean, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm excited. I think a leaner Skinner with a new goalie coach, maybe he can. That lateral movement was a problem. I mean, we would talk about how even LA in the first few games there, they were just feasting on the side to side, and then so I'm optimistic. But let's add a little wrinkle to this. Both you guys are goalie guys. Brendan, I think I mean a lot of these are from you, but which are the goalie prospects in the NHL? What other teams, young guys, would you if you had your choice, what would you guys pick?
I think the draft didn't quite go the way they wanted to a couple of years ago, but Sebastian Costa has always really caught my eye as an up-and-coming young goaltender who's not quite grabbed on or latched on in Detroit. Maybe he'll get a chance this season. He's kind of buried in the depth chart a little bit, but he's the kind of goalie I would love to have in my organization in that 3 or 4 spot on the depth chart to fight for a spot in the NHL. And I don't think the Oilers have anybody even close to that on the depth chart right now. So after Skinner and Pickard, we've got some other young goalies who are under contract, but I just don't see them realistically as NHL options, whereas I think Costa's a lot closer to being an NHL option. Ahmed, what do you think?
I agree, because I think Detroit, I'm on the same boat. Detroit has Augustine, and I think that's there were some rumors that the Oilers were trying to get Augustine from them, but there's a good potential. Detroit has 5 or 6 NHL goalies. They're kind of hoarding the goalies there. If there's a team that's going to trade a goalie or a goalie prospect, it's going to be Detroit, because they do have a couple of really solid goalies there. And I feel, Brendan, you mentioned the draft. I almost feel, if I remember correctly, Detroit moved up to pick up, the goalie prospect that Edmonton really wanted. They just moved 1 pick ahead of them, and they got the guy. So I think now Edmonton is kind of off the record, just online rumors and stuff like that, with some of the media saying that they are trying to get one of the Detroit goalies, and I think it's Augustine or Costin.
Interesting. I'm definitely not a goalie enthusiast aficionado like you guys, but I'm thinking not really a prospect, but the guy out of Boston, right? I think we could probably nab him for cheapish. Still holding out hope for that. Maybe
Talking about
as
Jerry Swayman and his massive.
No, not Swayman. DiPietro, I think it is, right? The Canuck guy, former Canuck.
Well, no NHL teams ever. That's with the DiPietro behind the pipes, but maybe Boston will change that.
Yeah.
I should mention, just on the start, there is another team that we've dealt with last couple of times, and there's hopefully an opportunity to maybe pick up one of their goalies. It's San Jose Sharks. They got the young kid Ravenbergen, I think his name is. He's supposed to be really good. And they also have Askarov. Maybe one of those 2 guys. There is a wealth of goalies there. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. They're still looking for building a team, so maybe an opportunity to pick up one of those guys. But having said that, I think Oilers are also looking for somebody who's proven. Number 1 guy comes in and picks up and is better than Skinner.
DPS isn't really something that they're after. I'm having a little bit of a brain cramp here. Where did Gibson end up going?
Right.
Was it Detroit? It was Detroit, right?
Yeah.
What did they didn't even
do up log jam in Detroit. That's why we brought up Costa as being a guy.
Yeah. But they've got they have 3 regulars, right? They're not even 1As, right? 1As or 1Bs, right?
Yeah, you got Gibson as your starter, then you got a couple of guys with NHL games and experience that are behind him that are capable.
Well, they still have Ville Husso or whatever his name is. Right?
Yeah.
They
got obviously Gibson. I think, don't they have Mrazek too? I don't know if they traded him off. I can't remember. They have so many goalies.
Mrazek's in and out of Detroit so many times I can't even follow along.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's not that hard to find a goaltender if you're Steve Yzerman. Right?
Well, he's hoarding them for a reason. I don't know why. He's just hoarding a lot of goalies right now.
He's like Pokemon cards. He's got 12 Pikachus and nothing else. Get the variety in your game. Can't hold all goalie cards, right? You gotta mix it up.
So, what do you guys think about? We mentioned the Olympic break, but 2-part question here. So, you guys think Stuart Skinner is going to be Team Canada's goaltender, like he is aspiring to be?
It would be great if it was, because that means he's having a fantastic regular season and they don't have a choice but to pick him. But I don't see that happening.
Either that, or there's career-ending injuries for the other guys ahead of him, or something, right?
No, there's better choices, I think, for the Team Canada management. I mean, you're going to put Bennington on that team, probably just based on how he did in the 4 Nations Cup, and he got that gold medal, and he showed up and hit some big games against Winnipeg in the playoffs last year. He's still there. He's probably ahead of Skinner. And I think there's going to be some other Canadian goalies who are probably capable of grabbing a spot there too. So I don't think Skinner's probably realistically in the mix unless he comes out as a 920 save percentage by December when they're making their final decisions, right?
I like his confidence, I'll say. But on that note, with the break, who do you guys think? We'll go with Oilers roster. Who do you guys think is going to benefit the most from the break, and who do you think is going to hurt the most?
I think it's going to hurt Ekholm, because he's probably going to get lots of minutes, and he's already getting on in age, and there's a lot of miles on that body, and he's going to have a pretty big role to play on that Sweden team. So I think he's going to come back, some bumps and bruises from
Gas again. Yeah.
And I think it's for the same reason. I think it's going to help Darnell Nurse because I don't think he's playing on the national team for Canada, and he's just going to be able to kick back and rest his body for the first time ever in the middle of February. So I think he's going to come back from that Olympic break and probably be pretty recharged and ready to go for that stretch drive.
How about you, Ahmed?
I agree. I think the eldest or the elderman in the defensive zone is going to be hurting. But I think the guy who might benefit from the break, if he doesn't make Team Canada, is Hyman. I think that he's probably going to come up a little bit earlier than he should. I think the team's going to try not to rush him, but you know how these players are. And I think any break he gets is probably going to help him. So if he's not going, I think that'd be a good thing for the Oilers.
Yeah, good point. I think our goalies, the tandem, whoever it is going to have some adjustment issues. We always see that out of the gates, right? We almost got sunk after the Four Nations, right? I wouldn't say we were buzzing, but we were doing all right before that. I was going to say Ekholm, but I don't want to bring on your guys' parade, so had to come up with off the cuff. If it's gonna help anybody, I'm thinking Evan Bouchard. I think he makes that roster, and I think the experience, maybe hanging out with Makar and a few of these other guys, might help him round out his game a little bit.
That's a strong take,
yeah.
Aleem, like that. It's a good take.
Thank you. Back to Hyman. I'm really. It's interesting because I don't know if you guys watched that interview. I'm sure you guys did. The one right before camp opened with Bowman, and Bowman was talking about how he was not concerned with Hyman at all. He's going to be ready. It doesn't matter if he doesn't skate in the preseason or whatever. He's going to be ready for whenever we start the season. And then literally the next day, Knobloch's November at the earliest. So I'm not sure what's going on there. There's some shadow games and whatever. But we had this question set up about the over/under on his goals. This is something that we were talking about, before the season, before even after July, August. What do we think is going to happen? How is he going to come back? And I think we have set the over/under to 30 goals. I don't know if we want to adjust that, but let's just say he does come back in November. Do you think he'll hit 20 goals? Brendan, what do you think?
I think he'll be just about 20. I think if he's doing okay, he'll be at that 21, 22 goal mark for the year. I think that'd probably be fine. But it's going to look bad on the hockey DB page when you look over to year-over-year totals, because it'll seem like a big drop-off. But considering what he's coming back from, I think 22 goals would be a pretty good season for him.
How about you, Ahmed?
Yeah, I agree. I think under 25 is what I was going to say. I think we should have reduced that from 30 because it's optimistic. And I think with a wrist injury, the way he's hurt himself, I'd say under 25, and hopefully he gets lots of rest. And I think hopefully the team recognizes somebody like Howard or Tomasek steps in and kind of lightens the load a little bit on the team for the goal scoring so he can get a little bit more rest. And I think the team's agenda is going to be try and keep him on the shelf as much as they can so he's ready for the playoffs, because we can't afford another one without Hyman.
Well, another Stanley Cup final without him, because that's basically
right.
We lost him right at the end there, which was tough. And you know what? One thing I'm gonna go with under as well. But we all were. We were really upset. We were thrilled with his physicality. I didn't see him to be able to bring it. It just didn't seem like that his body type, right? So the fact that he kind of reinvented himself in those playoffs, I was really impressed with that personally. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the under as well. I'd love to see him come out, go gangbusters, and just go on a heater, which is entirely possible. I'm just not willing to put my money in it.
I am a little worried, with him coming back. You talk about that physicality, but where the rest of the Oilers' physicality is going to be in this lineup, because Kane's out, right? Hyman's going to be out for a foreseeable amount of time. Brown's not on that team anymore, so who's coming in to be a physical presence? And the answer is Frederick being healthy. But I hope his version of healthy is significantly more physical than what we saw in the last 2 months of the season, because he was pretty okay, but that was not a 8-year contract kind of physically intimidating, sandpaper type player.
He kind of looked like Jeff Sanderson that one year that we got him. We were so excited about the speed, and then he came out and he looked like Marty Wiesner, right? That's kind of what it felt like. But I think, I haven't really been watching, but from Bowman's MO, A lot of these guys like Tomasak, Savoy, Howard, they might not be like going out and searching for physical hits and whatnot, but these are guys that are like tough in the corners and whatnot. So I'm thinking it's not going to be that big of an issue, at least not in the regular season. We'll see what happens come playoff time. But I feel like we've got even a guy like Lazar. He's pretty chippy. These guys, I think they come with some mean streaks, right? Which is kind of good. When I think of a guy like Lazar, I'm not thinking he's going to go and kill you, but I think he's one of those guys that's going to Corey Perry you in the corner.
I think they're going to play a couple of those bruisers for against teams that play really physical. I think they'll call up Josh Brown. They'll call up Max Jones. Yeah. Those guys will be playing, I think, in and out of the lineup just to give the team a little bit more physical play. And I think Noah Phelps is actually
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah. Noah Phelps is a guy that is underrated. I mean, this guy's a big dude, right?
Yeah. So hopefully they all pick up the slack. I do think that it's a big, giant hole that's left because Kane made it his mission to hurt people every game. And when he was on the ice.
It's interesting that you said that. This is, again, I'm by no means am I an insider, but it's just hearsay from like a guy who bought a car off of a guy or something. And they were saying that McDavid and Draisaitl both want to take, and I don't know if this is a good thing, but they want to take a step in the physicality as well. Expect to see McDavid come out and play a lot more chippier and stuff. I mean, that kind of makes me nervous a little bit, especially, against the Calgarys and whatnot. But, I mean, I think if it's up and down lineup, the way I envision the roster, we've got one of those heavier guys on each line, right?
Yeah.
Just know where Zadorov is on the ice.
Yeah.
You're playing that night, and then McDavid will probably be fine. But there's only a couple of guys in the league who I think would be physically intimidating enough and kind of crazy enough to take a run at McDavid like that and have it, be consequential. Yeah. But we've seen it happen before, like you said, with his knee injury many years ago. It was Giordano that took him out, and it can happen. So it's like a
second goal in the game.
Yeah.
Where was our lethal enforcer Milan Lucic at the time? He was on the ice. He didn't do shit.
Yep. Yeah. His old buddies there. That's why.
On just kind of moving along here with respect to Draisaitl. I mean, we had it's a good one here. What are his line mates by December the 1st? Start.
By December 1st, I think he's going to be with Mangiapane on one side, and I don't know, man. I mean, I know he loves Podkolzin.
On the other.
He loves Podkolzin, right? I mean, I think they basically signed Podkolzin to play next to him, in my opinion. If he can keep on doing what he's doing, and if he can chip in a few more goals, I think he'll be a fixture on the line next to Draisaitl because Draisaitl wants him there. It's not really so much about his productivity. I think it's more, like I said before, about him opening up the ice a little bit for him, going into the corners for him, doing all the things Draisaitl doesn't need to do. So I think for sure Podkolzin on the other side, I don't know, anybody could be revolving doors again.
Brendan?
Yeah, I think Podkolzin is going to be on his wing by December 1st. I think Knobloch will have got enough points to split up the two-headed monster there in the top line and give Draisaitl his own line back. So Podkolzin on one wing, and I think try to recreate some of that magic with Sammy Kapanen that we saw or Kasperi Kapanen that we saw.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go that way. I was thinking that, but honestly, I think we're going to see one of the kids there. I'm thinking it's going to be Savoy. Savoy's got the IQ to play on that line, and I think both him and Podkolzin complement Leon. They'll create a lot of space for him. Savoy can go in and get that puck, and he's pretty gritty as well. And I'm hoping to see some finish from Podkolzin as well. I'm going with those two.
Awesome.
Our boy Calvin Pickard. What do you think his total games played will be, Brendan?
I think he had a really strong regular season last year. He had a very strong playoffs for the Oilers. He provided a lot of stability, and I think he probably earned the coach's confidence. So I think that they're going to be able to go into San Jose or a Nashville or a Chicago, on a Tuesday night in December, and very confidently put him in the pipes. And you could also probably put him in the pipes against, a dozen other teams and not worry at all about, who your opponent's sending out to try to pick corners on against them. So I think he probably plays 30 games this year, and I think that's going to be a huge benefit to Skinner to be in that sort of 45 to 50 game kind of range for him.
Ahmed, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm right up. 30 was exactly what I was thinking for Pickard. I think unless Skinner really messes up, which I really hope doesn't happen this year, about 30 games kind of gives Skinner a little bit of time to kind of rest, especially towards the end of the season if the Oilers have accumulated enough points. And there's one thing that McDavid said, McDavid or Draisaitl, one of the two did mention that their focus this year is a little bit more on securing home ice. So that kind of tells me internally they're talking about accumulating as many points as they can. But
the focus definitely, it sounds like, just from the theme of it all, is you want to get off to a really good start, right? Because if you're able to do that, look what happened to the Canucks a couple of years ago. It was really hard to catch him, right?
Yeah.
I think now, if Skinner gets off to a heater, I still think they really should. I think we're going to see more than 30 games. I'm thinking it's going to be like a very, very narrow margin. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Calvin getting, I'd say maybe 40 games, maybe 35. I think we're going to see a bit more of them. I think the leash is going to be a lot tighter from the coach. If he's going to notice that Calvin's running with it, he's going to give it to him and extend it out a little bit more. I think he's earned that. But we'll see.
I'm going to give you some insights that will support your position, Aleem. But the season schedule is really compressed with that Olympic break.
That's one of the big reasons.
More back-to-back weekends than ever before, and so you're going to rely on those backup goaltending nights to try to take what's a scheduled loss on the schedule and try to turn it into at least
get a point out of it. Yeah. I think they're gonna. That's one of the reasons why I was saying probably more. Ekholm, total games played. You think he's gonna play a full 82?
I'll start.
I don't see it. Yeah. No. I was just going to say I don't know. This guy's getting a little bit long in the tooth, and apparently last year I know it came out. He was really badly injured, and he was still trying to go out and play. I don't know whose decision that was, but it was just the wrong decision. Should have just let the guy try and heal, especially at his age. But he was apparently playing at 60% at best. So if that's
you're telling me that fully 100% Emberson or what was his name again? Troy Stetcher wouldn't have done better. That's just.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Don't get me angry again.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying he played at 60% last year, and he played. And sure, Stetcher would have played better. Sure, Emberson was kind of panicking a little bit. Maybe it's his first.
I'm just saying in the finals he was atrocious, right?
Well, yeah, because he was hurt. He was injured. He couldn't move. He couldn't turn. And I think that if he is 100%, he's a better player than he was last year. But having said that, I think if there's any way, shape, or form that injury comes back, this guy's going to be out long term again. And because of the new CBA rules and stuff like that, accumulating that extra cap space is probably going to be in the team benefit, right? So
apparently, from what I understand, this injury, once he's healed, there's no risk of re-injuring it. So it's not like he's going to make it. Hopefully, touch wood, right? Now watch first game of the season. Rips it again.
Thanks, Aleem.
Brendan, what are you saying? You think he's going to play let's put a number on it? 65 games, 50 games, 70 games?
I think he'll be going fine until the Olympics, but I have
He's going to hit a wall similar to last year.
I have a feeling that sometime during the Olympics or shortly after the Olympics, without having any kind of break, it's just going to be pretty hard on that guy. They've asked a lot from a guy who was really. He wasn't the number one defenseman in Nashville, but he was
number 4 defenseman. Yeah,
and they turned him into this number 1, number 2 defenseman with the Oilers, which was phenomenal. What a great trade that was to bring him in. But you're asking a guy to do a lot, play against really, really tough opponents, log huge minutes, use the body, get some points too, and his body's obviously just starting to say no, right? So
do you think
the bigger question becomes even if he gets through the regular season, what's the future of Ekholm with the Oilers? UFA contract coming up. What do you do in that situation? Because you want to keep him, you want to make sure that he's happy. He's obviously part of the successful team, but can you throw good money after that type of injury uncertainty, or do you say, you know what, you're John Klingberg, we don't know if you're going to be healthy. Good luck. Hey, go with the next team that will take a risk on you. It's going to be a tough decision for management at the end of the year, no matter what.
Absolutely. I think that was sort of a little segue into this as well, just impromptu, contract wise. Many people are talking about him and Wallman flipping cap hits. Personally, I'm going to go first here. I think that if he's getting paid Wallman money next year, not good for us. Because I envision him hopefully being able to take a step back. I mean, it'd be nice if he's playing. I don't want to see him going forward unless he's having some unless he's found the fountain of youth to be playing top 4 minutes in the coming years. That right? I'm thinking, $2 million, something like that. But if that's the case, it doesn't sound like he'd be willing to sign for that, right? So I think we're going to lose.
Not going to happen, Aleem. It's wishful thinking, man. $2 million for Ekholm is just not going to do it. I think maybe if he's 39, 40 years old and something like that, but at 36, 37 years old by next year, he's not going to sign for $2 million. I think he's going to be in the 4.5, whether it's with the Oilers or anywhere else for that matter. I think just experience.
All for it. I mean, Brendan, we were talking about the stats, the likelihood of a 30. There was 2 defensemen that are as old as he is that were playing top 4 minutes. One of them was Drew Doughty, and the other one I don't remember, but their numbers were not looking that great, right? Those are guys that did decent, but the rest of the guys on the league were not looking great.
He just knows that if he doesn't sign any kind of extension with the Oilers, that Ken Holland is waiting right there with a $6 million offer to put him next to Cody Ceci on the
That's
LA.
right. That's right.
They might not re-up Doughty, and they might go with Ekholm, right? And then we can take Doughty.
Listen, I think Ekholm's success is going to be who he's paired with. Is he going to be with Darnell Nurse again, or is he going to be with Bouchard? I think with Bouchard, who's a mobile defender, allows him a little bit of time to kind of not be all over the ice, although he has to kind of take care of the defensive zone because Bouchard's almost never there. That might enable him to play a few extra games where he's not running around. If somebody else is taking the puck up the ice, you have to remember, as a top 2, before Bouchard's development, that was his job, to take the puck up the ice or to pass it up and find that channel, and he did a good job with it. But ever since Bouchard came into the picture, he's kind of stepped back a little bit. It's more about keeping himself.
Ekholm is an underrated puck mover for sure, but I feel like just because of his size, the first thing that goes is your agility, right? And it's not like it falls off a cliff. But you'll start to notice a little bit too with like a guy like Peter Angelo, or a guy like, just trying to think, what was the guy, the guy from LA that went to Vegas that I absolutely hate, Martinez, right? Guy was able to turn really quickly, and as you age, that's something that you're just half a stride slower, and that makes all the difference in the world, right? I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. What I'm really interested in seeing is this guy that they've got from Europe. They're saying that he's offensively, he can think the game at the NHL level is fantastic. I'm excited to see a guy like him against NHL competition, because maybe if we've got some more depth on the defense, maybe Ekholm can play 50 games and still be, and we're still doing all right. And that would be freaking fantastic, right? Because that would mean he's going to be fresh and healthy for the playoffs, right?
Yeah, and let's cut the guy some slack here. I don't think he's got a history of being an injury-prone player. It was just last year he got injured. Previous to that, he's been pretty consistent, and I think he's a big guy. He's a strong guy. I say he plays 65 games comfortably. I do think that even in pairing with on a second line pairing, I think he's going to pull in at least 65 games. If he's
I think the top 4 is set. I think it's going to be Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse Wallman. Lom's going to be playing on the right side. I think unless there's any insane miracles that happen, that's probably where the season is going to start. 4th, 3rd pairing. I'm sure Kulak's a lock. It's his partner that's going to be kind of up in the air, right? We're not sure what's happening. Is it going to be regular? Is he going to get a regular shift?
The guy was injured forever, and now he's trying to make a comeback, right? And
all those guys are looking good, though. He's looking good. Emerson's looking good. I haven't heard much about Stetcher. It's going to be interesting, man. But Brendan, you have any final thoughts on there? We got to move on. I got one more.
Well, we got to wrap up really fast here, so we got one more question to get into it.
All right. So Podkolzin, contracts. What are you guys thinking? I mean, this is something we were going to, I mean, he signed it now 3 for 3, right? Brendan, what are you thinking?
I think it's good for his family. It's good for his agent. It's good for him. It's probably bad for the cap for the Oilers. But hopefully he can live up to the contract. When you have Colson and Frederick on your forward group, both making that kind of money with that kind of term relative to where they are in their careers, I just hope it works out because you've invested a lot in players that are essentially replacement level players that have some upside. So
I'm like when you just mentioned that, the thought that came to my head was what was that guy's name? The guy that they had to actually package Toivonen to send to Carolina in Chicago. What was his name? And then he ended up, sad story, ended up having like MS or something, so he had to retire. Remember that guy?
Sorry,
I don't recall. I don't remember who that is.
Just a guy, big guy, skate, kind of a character dude. And they signed him to some $4 million deal, and then wheels started falling off fairly quickly, and then they had to give up assets to get rid of that, not hold salary. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen here, but one thing we're also forgetting, guys, cap's going up, right? So does this $3 million? I don't know. Like,
I'm not forgetting that. I think at $3 million, the guy is penciled in at 2.8% of the cap hit for the Oilers. I mean, come on, he's playing on your second line, 2.8% of your cap on a player that plays next to Leon Draisaitl, and Draisaitl wants him to play in that line. I think it's a freaking bargain because these guys, they know what they want in terms of players. Everybody wants Podkolzin to score more, and I think 20 goals out of the guy would be amazing. But I think he does so many other things. Watch him on the ice. When he's on the ice, his physicality and retrieving the puck.
This guy's quoting Leon Draisaitl verbatim. Tell me you didn't watch that interview. I know you did.
What?
That's exactly what Leon was saying. He was very complimentary of him.
I think Leon watches our podcast, man. I really believe that because he actually in that interview verbatim said what I say.
Yeah, it's true. Verbatim. So what I had on here was closing contract just right, too much, or why the hell didn't we just keep following? Can't help but not talk about that for a minute. How's Holloway's contract looking now? And I know, Ahmad, you're going to say
no, man. Okay, so let me just start here first. But Colton still gets $1 million this year. Everybody knows that, right? Next year is when his contract kicks in at $2.95 million. Do you think Holloway's going to be $2.95 million next year?
Depends on if he gets 27 goals or not, or 26
goals.
I
guarantee he's going to be $6 million.
What's that?
I guarantee now, and he can come back to this podcast, he's not going to sign for less than $6 million a year. Watch.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. He wants serious money for sure.
Yeah. So
I see what you're saying.
It's not a fair comparison.
Is he going to get $3 million? I thought you meant he won't even sign. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, he's going to be a restricted free agent at the end of this season, right, with St. Louis, and I don't think he's going to be negotiating anything south of $6 million a year. Right.
Honestly, guys, I'm not too sad about that move. I do miss Broberg, mainly his skating ability with the puck. But I'm not too sad about that. I like Podkolzin. I'd like to see more offense from him, but I feel like a guy like him actually fits this roster. We need those jack of all trade guys that do everything and don't get enough credit, and he's one of those guys, right?
And this guy can drop the mitts. I mean, you guys have seen he dropped some guy last season that came after him. He's a very polite, character player. He doesn't like to play dirty at all. I haven't seen him play dirty at all, but when push comes to shove, he can drop the mitts and he can fight. So I mean,
he's a crazy Russian. You don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. That was cool. I like that. Maybe we can come up with some more questions. I know I've got some of our viewers that have asked a couple questions in the chat, so maybe we'll do that again. Let's wrap this up. When does the season start again? When is opening night?
October 10th or something, is it not?
It's like 3 weeks away or something, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to try and get up on this next week?
Yeah, I think so. I think by then Chris Knobloch will be signed, so we can talk about that.
One final thing, guys, before we sign off, and I know we're getting close here, but McDavid, I don't know if you guys heard that thing with Bob Stauffer. They were talking about the Seth Jarvis contract, and they had mentioned the deferral. that loophole expires October the 8th. So over under, do you think McDavid, and do you think that's what they're working on? Over under, do you think he's going to sign by the 7th of October? Yes or no?
Go, Brendan.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I would be very happy if he did.
No, you don't think that they're working on a deferral and saying a big, guys, 8 years, whatever million deferred?
I'm sure they're working on stuff. I just don't think it's going to come together before the start of the
You don't
year.
think it's going to come together? Ahmed, same boat?
If Stauffer is mentioning stuff like that, I don't know if he was just, just having a, casual conversation about it, but he tends to leak out things that the team is actually doing. It's happened multiple times in terms of player names and stuff like that. So I hope there's some validity to it.
So Stauffer talked to Brian Lawton, and this is coming from Brian Lawton. And we all know Brian Lawton, love him. Back in February, he was talking about Leon Draisaitl signing for 8 years and $14 million.
I remember.
What happened in September? That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He's also the one that came out and talked about the Frederick contract.
Right.
Something very similar happened. And he's also the one that talked about, hey, with McDavid, I don't think you even negotiate with him. I think you give him the time that he needs, and you're just like, here you go, and just let him come to that decision, right? So he's sort of been on the ball, and if he's talking about the deferral stuff and he's mentioning it, I don't know. Fingers crossed.
He has an inside track to this stuff. I mean, he used to be an agent. He's still very well connected in that, obviously with the agents that are working with the players. So if he mentions it, then I would put a lot of stock into it. I would be, if Lawton's saying that there's some way they're working this loophole and that's what the holdup is, I'm 100% going, it's going to happen that way.
Brendan, you're not looking so convinced, eh?
I've been on the inside of various negotiations and contracts in my life. Just because one party has an idea doesn't mean that's how you get across the finish line.
That's true.
Fair enough. Okay, guys, we got to sign up. We're hitting that hour, and it's going to kill me if we go over it because we won't be able to edit. Let's sign off. Great talking to you boys. Good to see you. Everyone's looking all healthy and stuff. We'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Take care.